No more ignoring low-level crime. Police pledge to follow every lead. A change in policy is to end prioritising serious crime while lesser offences are overlooked.
I think that most police forces, and certainly my own Chief Constable, absolutely welcomes the chance to really get stuck into this.
I know.
Also tonight, the fellow Republican who dared to criticise Donald Trump at a hustings in Iowa. And Stuart Broad announces his retirement as England remain on track to level the Ashes series.
This is ITV News.
Good evening. It's happened countless times, maybe even to you. A low-level crime occurs. Perhaps a bicycle is stolen, but the police don't have the time or the resources to investigate. Well, tonight, senior police and crime officials say that will soon change. They say the resources will be there to investigate all crimes, however small, as long as there is a reasonable lead to follow. And that's partly due to an earlier decision about calls that police will stop attending. With more, here's our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan.
Even supermarkets have been complaining that the police are not doing enough to combat crime. The Co-op says police failed to respond to 71% of reported serious retail crimes. But now the police, government and police and crime commissioners are set to announce that every crime with a reasonable lead will be investigated.
Where there are sufficient leads and where there is a potential suspect to be identified, the public are right to expect it to happen. And I think in those cases, the police haven't always had the resources to do it. And I believe they do now, and they should be. And I think that most police forces, and certainly my own Chief Constable, absolutely welcomes the chance to really get stuck into this.
The more rigorous approach has already been tried by Greater Manchester Police and is credited with lifting them out of special measures. The Chief Constable said they'd previously been doing too much non-essential work.
We were busy being busy badly, but we have a job to do. The public care about what is happening in their patch.
But the resources for the national rollout across England and Wales are to be released by cutting the number of mental health call-outs police are involved in, limiting them to cases where there's a crime or someone's in danger. Will that be enough? Well, some residents in Portsmouth have already started their own volunteer patrols, so stretched are the local police.
They're underfunded across the whole of the UK, and I think if we had more officers on the beat walking the streets of a night time, I think the criminals would sort of think differently.
The government will hope that getting the police to investigate more crimes proves popular. But Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper says the fact that it needs to happen is, quote, a truly damning indictment of what 13 years of Conservative government has done to policing. Carl Dinnan, ITV News.
The hold Donald Trump continues to have over many Republicans has been made clear at a hustings in Iowa. Most of his rivals for the party's nomination for president avoided criticising him, and the one that did was loudly booed by the crowd. Mr. Trump himself insisted his campaign will not stop, even if he's convicted of any of the criminal charges against him. Rachel Younger reports.
He came on stage like every other candidate to the strains of Only in America, but just listen to the lyrics.
One could end up going to prison. Might be president.
An extraordinary echo of where Donald Trump's destiny might lie. Prison or the presidency, both possibilities for a man appearing publicly for the first time since another criminal charge was brought against him on Thursday. Not that it's dimmed his defiance.
I won Iowa twice by really a lot. We set records, and together we will crush crooked Joe Biden, the most crooked president in the history of our country by far.
Trump, one of 13 Republican contenders, the rest hoping to overcome the favourite.
We just got to have government as good as our people again.
I will get the job done.
Not one of the front-runners bringing up the charges against Trump they know will eventually be a liability in the race against the Democrats, but right now are more likely to alienate grassroots Republicans. Just listen to the response when one lesser-known candidate tried.
Donald Trump is running to stay out of prison. And if we elect... I know.
The man himself using his legal woes as a weapon.
If I weren't running, I would have nobody coming after me. Or if I was losing by a lot, I would have nobody coming after me.
His reception evidence that the charges against him aren't making him any easier to beat. Rachel Younger, ITV News.
At least 10 people have died in an explosion at a fireworks warehouse in southern Thailand. More than 100 people were wounded in the blast near the Malaysian border, and officials believe there are still people trapped under the debris. The local governor said construction work in the warehouse likely sparked the explosion. And most of the wildfires that have swept across Greece over the last fortnight were caused by arson, the country's climate minister has said. More than 600 fires have ravaged the Greek mainland and islands. And finally, top England bowler Stuart Broad has announced he's retiring from cricket following the current Ashes series. The 37-year-old revealed his decision as England took a commanding 377-run lead on the third day of the fifth and final test against Australia at the Oval. Here's Chris Scudder.
Only one man ever can beat Stuart Broad's pace bowling test record, and how Jimmy Anderson will hope the pair can celebrate one last hurrah tomorrow when Broad calls it quits at 37 after taking more than 600 test wickets.
I knew deep down that I wanted to finish playing cricket at the very top. I've had a love affair with the Ashes my whole life, but I'm in love with the game. I still love playing the game. I love being part of the changing room, and I think I wanted to have those memories leaving the game, and I think that will definitely make me stay in love with the game of cricket for the rest of my life.
It promises to be an emotional day, with Australia needing to do much better with the bat than they did with the ball as England piled on the pressure and built up a big lead. Joe Root thrilled the crowd with improvisation, entertainment, pure rock and roll cricket, all in front of 80-year-old Rolling Stone Sir Mick Jagger. But you can't always get what you want, and Root just missed out on a century, gone for 91. Not much went right for the Aussies, more dropped catches, much to the amusement of the home crowd. But Johnny Bairstow's knock of 78 has put England in a strong position to fight back from 2-0 down and level the series. Who would bet against Stuart Broad going out on a high? Chris Scudder, ITV News.
How many runs you might need?
And that's it. The weather forecast is coming up next. But from all of us here on the Weekend News team, thanks for watching and good night.
Today we'll see warmer temperatures moving in from the east, especially around tea time. Heinz Beans sponsors ITV National Weather.
A very good evening to you. Sunny spells and scattered showers along with blustery winds as we head through the rest of this weekend. A little fresher and cooler than it's felt of late for many of us. And downpours moving through parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland as we head through the night and into the small hours. A soggy start to Sunday morning here. Further showers and longer downpours across the north and the west into the new day. And for many of us, it's looking quite windy from the word go. Some early morning sunshine, but quite cool and fresh out there with those brisk winds. Cheerful blue skies through England and Wales, but the downpours across Scotland sinking their way southwards, and those showers on and off across northern and eastern counties throughout tomorrow. Elsewhere, things go downhill from the west, thickening cloud, some steadier rain to come, and all the while quite blustery out there for the time of year, particularly with the wet weather. Ahead of this cloud and rain, some decent enough sunshine, making all the difference. Highs of 22 or 23 degrees.
Heinz Beans sponsors ITV National Weather.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Vaillant Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV London Weekend Weather.
Hello and a very good evening to you. Hope you're all keeping well. So I'm afraid the weather forecast going forward isn't looking too summery across the capital. In fact, it is remaining rather unsettled out there. Although Sunday will get off to a bright start to the day, but eventually we'll see some rainfall tracking its way across us, and at times it will be rather blustery. Now, the reason for it, we've got low pressure in charge of things. You can see it here dominating across the UK, keeping things unsettled and messy. You can see the squeeze on the isobars. That shows us it will be windy at times. We've also got the system here. First of all, it will be out towards the west before it moves its way eastwards, keeping things fairly soggy for some. Now, for the rest of tonight, might just be the odd shower around, but for most of us, a good deal of dry weather as we edge overnight. Clear skies out there and a slightly fresher night for many. Temperatures there down to around 13 degrees. And then by tomorrow morning, a bit of a breeze blowing across the capital. So a blustery but a rather bright start to the day. But you can see as the day continues, that cloud will start to increase. And eventually we'll see some rainfall tracking its way across us. And those winds will strengthen. But in any sunshine tomorrow, temperatures not too bad. Highs of 22 or 23 degrees.
Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV London Weekend Weather.